Welcome to another RSR. Tonight we're reviewing CF Montreal 2, Forge FC 2, 2-3 on aggregate. Forge FC advances to the semifinals in the Canadian Championship 2025 quarterfinal leg 2. Forge will advance to the semifinals. We don't know who they'll play until 45 minutes through the Vancouver game, Whitecaps game. Hopefully, it's a CPL team, because there will be a CPL team in the final of the Canadian Championship. At least one. If Vancouver somehow loses their tie, there will be two. And there will be a Canadian Premier League champion of the Canadian Championship if Vancouver Whitecaps cannot make the semifinal. And even then, who's to say? But with that being said, Forge is 180 minutes away from a final in this tournament, depending on the draw. They're not going to beat the Whitecaps, but if they play Ottawa or Vancouver FC, they probably should be there, right? Whether they host it or not. But with that being said, Forge, power outage couldn't stop them. Playing a team where they definitely at times looked like they were a bit too damn shaky. Didn't stop them. Forge looked pretty damn good, all things considered. Damn good. They found a way and got it done. They survived the first half with a draw and a 1-goal aggregate lead. In the end, they drew the game with 2 goals, but that means they go through. Because any draw had them going through. Whether it was scoring or 0-0, they would go through. They definitely buckled down and found a way. Halftime, 0-0. 0-1 on aggregate. Forge definitely were the more shaky team in the first half. They had about like a 10-minute spell where they had a good couple of chances to put the ball at the back of the net. But most of it, they were defending, clearing the ball away, making sure Montreal couldn't score. And it got close a couple of times. It got close. But Montreal, in the end, just didn't have it like Forge did. Forge defended very well, buckled down, found a way, and got through the first half with a draw and still with the aggregate lead. 58th minute. The game's back after the power outage in Montreal at Stade Saputo. We didn't see it because One Soccer's cameras weren't back at the time. Prince Owusu scored the 58th minute to make it 1-0 for Montreal. Center of the box, slots it past Colalot, 1-1. That's as far as I know, because all of us know, because we couldn't see it unless we were at the stadium. So if anybody was at the stadium and they want to describe how Owusu's first goal looked, that would be nice for the class. That would be nice. Explain it for the class, because I can't. With that being said, yeah, that was, I don't know who to blame for the power outage, whether that is the city of Montreal, whether that is One Soccer, where that is, I don't know who to blame. Saputo, don't know who to blame. At least we got to watch most of the match. But it was a good part to watch when it came back, though, because 79th minute, Tristan Borges takes the lead back on aggregate and ties the game on the night up. Tristan Borges at the top of the box gets the ball back, takes a shot, a laser past Zeroh. He had no chance to get it, low it in, bangs it into the net. Beautiful goal, golazo. Gorgeous Borges, 1-1. 1-2 on aggregate. 1-1 on the night. What a goal. And Becker, a couple of minutes later, said, I see you and I raise you. Kyle Becker, 82nd minute, does it again. Another golazo laser past Zeroh. Similar positioning. He had no chance. The pace blows past him. Kyle Becker tried to pop a hole in the net. And in the end, 1-2. 1-2 on the night, 1-3 on aggregate. Forge makes sure, worst comes to worst, they still advance with a draw on the night. Penalties probably are out of the question at this point. A 2-goal loss is definitely out of the question at this point. But in the end, 90 plus 4, Prince of Wuxia getting pulled down as he has the ball at his feet. Just takes a desperate shot. It rolls past Colalot. 2-2. 2-3 on aggregate. But Forge still wins on aggregate, even though they drew on the night. They still won the tie. Papaya still rules Montreal. So, there you go. Full time, 2-2. 2-3 on aggregate. The second half, once the game came back to TV, was nuts. Forge, I think, were the better team in the second half. They were. They survived, then they thrived, and yeah, did they allow another goal? Sure, but in the end, just made Montreal look a bit better. They're still out. Full-time stats are as follows. 6 shots to 7, 5 shots on goal to 3, 70% possession to 30% possession, 323 pass to 135, 87% pass accuracy to 71, 9 fouls to 5, 0 offside to 0, 1 yellow card to 2, 0 red cards to 0, 6 corners to 2. Forge did their job. The first half looked shaky. After the goal was scored by Wuxia, Forge went and just absolutely turned up the heat. They're like, oh, y'all gonna score. All right, we don't need to go to penalties. No, we're better than that. We'll make sure we don't. And buddy, they didn't. Buddy, they didn't go to penalties. They absolutely jumped out and said, okay, all right. We're better than that. We're better than that. That second half was the real Forge. Like, I get at times you probably want to, like, lower the amount of time a team has to score on you. I get that. But if Forge was capable of that, why didn't they? I'm a little bit pissed, really. Like, I get it. You don't give Montreal 90 minutes to try to make some up on you, but they looked really shaky. It's not like they looked very sure of themselves clearing the ball. Montreal threatened them so hard, even if the shots weren't there, the threats were there when it came to the first half. And you're telling me that, well, you know what, though? They did not look good, Forge, defensively. They just, they did enough to survive. Like, that first half was survival to a T, and still had the aggregate lead at the half. The second half, yeah, they allowed a goal, and I guess they started that way of, we got to survive, and then once Montreal scored, they were like, oh, shit. I'm sure they were cool a little bit after the power outage because they were like, well, they came out of a delay. I think they had a 2-0 lead last year, came out of the rain delay, and got scored on. So similarly, here they came out of the power outage delay and they did get scored on, but then they woke up and said, no, this is not how it's supposed to go. They turned into the Forge we know and love, and just boom, 2 goals. They get the 3-goal aggregate lead, or 2-goal aggregate lead after scoring 2 goals, or making it a 3-1 lead. Wuxia scores the second, ties up the game, but still a 1-goal aggregate win for Forge. No penalties to worry about. By the time that goal was scored, it wasn't even really to worry about a 3rd goal by Montreal being scored. That a 1-goal win for them would have still went to penalties. So, it was done. It was done. Finito. So, in the end, Forge did their job. Now, when it comes down to it, could they have been better? Yes, because they showed they could be better. After they got scored on. After we all saw the game come back. That's when they switched on. That's around when they switched on. And I have to say, for me, man of the match, I think it changed when Borges came on. When Borges came on, this game changed. And that's when it started to realize, oh, Forge can win this. And then he scores. To take the aggregate lead back, he scores. Then Becker scores to just make sure that probably would be enough. And it was. So, man of the match, Tristan Borges. Forge gets the win. They were the better team. They were the stronger team for the second half. For the first half, they survived, but in the end, they advanced, deservedly so. Montreal knocked out by Forge for the second straight year in the quarterfinals at Stade Saputo when it happened. Gone. There will be one CPL team in the final of this tournament. And if somehow Valor does beat Vancouver on aggregate, there will be a full CPL final and a CPL Can Champ champion. Oh, and by the way, Forge has still not lost in the CPL or in the Canadian Championship. They have not lost domestically in 2025. They did lose both games in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but domestically, CanPL, Canadian Premier League, Canadian Championship, they have not lost. Still second on the table, though, which is crazy, but they have not lost. They're too damn good. They're too damn good. It's going to suck when they play Vancouver, isn't it? Yeah, that'll change. League-wise, still unbeaten, but when they play Vancouver Whitecaps, they're going to lose. But with that being said, there you go. Forge wins. They're through. Papaya rules Montreal. There's a hole in Quebec that they call Montreal. Go to hell, Montreal. Go to hell. Man, you love to see it. Doesn't get any better than this. With that being said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification once subscribed. Send some chats on the live streams. Comment on this video. Put this in playlists. Share with friends and family. All that great stuff. I will see you tomorrow for the semifinal recap of the FIFA Club World Cup. Friday, the Club World Cup final predictions. Saturday, Toronto FC versus Atlanta United live RSR. And Sunday, Chelsea versus PSG Club World Cup final live RSR. That's what the next 4 days look like. That's how we're going to finish our week. 4 videos, 2 lives. Should be a fun one. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace. Let's go. Yeah.